Thank you all for joining us for a quick overview of our new Homeowners Wind Hail Deductible Buyback coverage. As we get started, you'll notice that you don't have access to your mic or camera. However, the chat is open for any questions you might have. If you're joining us after our webinar, viewing it on demand, you can send any questions to info@chris-leef.com. The purpose of today's webinar is to give you some introductory knowledge of this coverage, how the product we're writing differs from others on the market, and help you feel equipped to talk to clients about why this coverage is so pivotal, especially in our current economy. Let's get started. Our agenda for today is understanding the coverage, how it differs from other products, who needs the coverage and how to talk to clients, quoting made easy, and claims, questions, and answers, where we'll go over some frequently asked questions about how the claims process will work. So what is Homeowners Wind Hail Deductible Buyback coverage? A wind hail buyback policy buys down the regular deductible that a client would have to pay for a wind or hail claim. For example, if their primary or underlying policy, a term you'll hear pretty frequently throughout today's webinar, if that requires a 5% deductible, our buyback can reduce that deductible to a smaller percentage or set dollar amount, reducing the out-of-pocket expense when a loss occurs. This can be written as a standalone policy or packaged with the primary homeowner and dwelling policy, both of which we can write here at Chris-Leef. We also write this coverage with the same carrier as we write our commercial wind hail buyback coverage for commercial properties. And we were able to work with them to roll out this new product for both them and to offer to our clients. We have a long-standing relationship with this carrier, and we are excited to be partnering with them to bring the solution to our agent partners, something we know that you've been asking for. Let's look at some of the coverage specifics. This is available for any policy that has an underlying or primary policy that is written as an HO3, HO5, HO6, or a DP3. There are options for coverage A through D. You can make claims due to losses incurred by hurricane, named storm, or any insurable wind and hail damage, which is specified by the underlying policy. The TIV is up to $1 million for the buyback coverage. The underlying policy can be much, much higher, but the total TIV that will get paid out for the buyback would be $1 million. Minimum deductibles are starting at $2,500. There are no restrictions for the age of building or the age of roof. It's available for high and very high wildfire areas. And you as the agent do not need to write the underlying policy to be able to write the deductible buyback policy. Although again, you can package both policies written through Chris-Leef. Let's chat through the different coverage or deductible specifics. What types of deductible are available through this policy? We can do percent to dollar deductible, a deductible where the underlying policy has a percentage of the total TIV, and that is reduced to a set dollar amount, the smallest of which would be $2,500. We have a dollar to dollar deductible, a deductible applied to a dollar-based deductible to a lesser dollar amount. And finally, we have a percent to percentage deductible, a deductible calculated as a percentage lesser than the percentage of the underlying policy. Although even on this deductible, the minimal deductible will still be $2,500. How does this product differ from other market options? Well, first, it pays out based on the actual loss or damage to the structure, not the storm intensity. Other products are offering an algorithmic payout based on weather modules rather than the actual damage done to someone's house. They're relying on National Weather Services to determine what the damage could possibly be rather than what actually happened to the structure. The coverage is available nationwide. There are no coastal, cat exposure, or geographic carve-outs. This can be triggered by any insurable wind hail damage on the underlying policy. Others may allow claims only for named storms or tornadoes, something that, again, a weather service has to determine. This is follow form and will be triggered based off the underlying policy. Our carrier, again, is follow form. That reduces coverage gaps, simplifies underwriting, and can minimize disputes at claims time. And lastly, this coverage is available for underlying policies for rentals or entity ownership, such as an LLC or corporate owners of a home. So, which clients benefit from this protection? Well, clients that are in hail-prone areas, and we'll show you a map here in a second of where those would be, as well as clients that are sensitive to cash flow at the time of a claim. I know that in this economy, frequently insureds can see this as an extra coverage. However, it's very important as the agent to be able to navigate the conversation around this, reminding your insureds and clients that what this coverage does is give them peace of mind of what would actually be owed at the time of a claim, instead of percentages that can be in the tens of thousands of dollars. Some questions that you can ask as the agent would be, are you comfortable with a $15,000 to $25,000 deductible after a storm? Or do you want a more predictable out-of-pocket cost for wind events? Here you can see a map from the National Weather Service that was released in 2023, showing that most of our agent partners, and therefore your insureds, are in either the extreme or very severe areas for hail. In our current world, it's not a matter of if there will be a windstorm or a hailstorm, but when and how severe it will be. The National Weather Service reported 5,373 hail events in 2024, with hail 1 inch in diameter or larger. The Insurance Information Institute reports that severe convective storm events in 2023 and 2024 have cost global insurers a remarkable $143 billion, of which $120 billion occurred in the United States alone. You'll see that the majority of those storms happened in Texas, but right there with them would be Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. Wind and hail damage accounts for a large portion of homeowners' claims, with the average claim costing somewhere between $17,000 and $26,000. We know that selling these coverages can sometimes be difficult in this economy, and that's why being sure to position this as an important coverage that gives your customer a peace of mind of what they would owe if their home is harmed during wind or hail is so important. How do you get a quote from the Chris-Leef team? Well, all we're going to need for the wind and hail deductible buyback is our one-page application, which you'll see here in just a second. If you and your customer decide that you'd like to bind this coverage, at binding we would also need 3 years worth of currently valued loss runs. Now, if your customer has just bought a new home, but they've owned a home previously, we would need the loss runs for their previous home as well. We would also need a copy of the primary homeowners or dwelling fire terms, including wind and hail deductible terms. And if you do decide to package the underlying or primary policy along with the wind hail deductible buyback policy here written through Chris-Leef for both of those, there will be no additional policy fee for the buyback deductible. Any and all applications can be sent to submissions@chris-leef.com. That's the fastest way to get your risk in the hands of our underwriting experts. Let's take a quick look at the one-page application that would be needed to quote this. Here you see it. Anything in red would be a required field, and in our follow-up email, we'll be sure to include a link to this application. You can find all of our applications on our agent portal, The Grove, which we'll talk through here in a second, but also on our new website. You can see a full list of appetite and products that are available through Chris-Leef. On those pages, you can see coverage specifics, target classes, any marketing materials that we've created for you, as well as a list of submission requirements to get a quote. Let's talk through claims. I know that this is usually an area where there are a lot of questions, so we've anticipated some of those frequently asked questions for you, and we're going to go through those now. Any other questions that you have can be sent directly to our underwriting experts at info@chris-leef.com. How does the claims process work? Well, claims are handled by experienced third-party adjusters, just like most of the coverages that you write with Chris-Leef. Loss is reported per instructions on the underlying and wind hail deductible policy. Because our coverage is follow form, the underlying carrier is notified first. The buyback then responds based off of the deductible buyback structure. Does the buyback pay after the underlying carrier? Yes. This policy follows the underlying policy, and this ensures coverage alignment and seamless coordination. Does the insured have to pay the deductible out of pocket first? No. Once a claim is activated, the deductible buyback information is shared. The process is handled seamlessly between carriers and the TPA, the third-party adjuster. Will the buyback claim count as a separate loss? No. There is one event and one loss. The loss runs will reflect the amount paid by the underlying carrier and the amount paid by the deductible buyback policy, so you won't receive multiple hits for the claim. What if the loss is below the underlying deductible but above the buyback's retention? Luckily, in that case, the buyback does respond. These are referred to as buffer claims, and the buyback could be triggered if the damage is caused by an insurable claim according to the underlying policy. Let's talk for a quick second about our agent portal, The Grove. Here at Chris-Leef, we've created a portal with our agents in mind, and on that portal, you are able to create submissions specifically for general liability, property, and package commercial risks. It's a simple, easy to follow online form, and the answers that you submit on that form will then be mapped directly to the ACORD forms, which will be sent to you and to our underwriting team to get started with our underwriting process. You can pay online. You can run production reports and manage all of the policies that you've ever written with Chris-Leef. Within that policy management system, you're able to see any documents that have ever been created for that policy, including binder documents, policy documents, invoices, statements, endorsements, audits, etc. You can create and print certificates in real time for general liability policies. So if your agency happens to write a large book of contractors in particular, this is a very handy feature. You can access online applications as fillable PDFs for all of the many coverages that we write across our commercial, personal, and professional lines departments. You can rate online with our online carrier platforms, and you can submit a claim. Here you see a QR code to be able to request your access to the Grove, but a link will be shared in our follow-up email as well. If you do have any questions about this coverage or the other ways that Chris-Leef can partner with you and your team, please feel free to send those to our team at info@chris-leef.com, and we'll be sure to get back with you just as soon as possible. If you or your team in office would ever like a full demo of our agent portal, The Grove, please reach out and let us know, and we will be sure to get that set up for your team. If you do have any other follow-up questions, please feel free to send those our way. We really appreciate your time today, and we hope that you'll give this incredible opportunity a chance as you're looking through your book and the homeowners and dwelling policies that you write. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.